Hi everybody, and welcome to another video from Paper Crafting with Tammy. I wanted to start today with a basic layout that is from the sampler set that Kiwi Lane is featuring right now that includes 9 templates. So what you see laid out at this moment are 6 of the templates from the set, and I'll show you what the other ones are too. So this is Cascade Trails. So I've got both 2A and 2B. So these are kind of a fun way to start a layout. I've also got Abbey Road, 1A and 1B. Those are part of this set. Celebrate from our Tiny Celebrate set. That's Tiny Celebrate 8T. And then this is Bracket 1. So I'm going to be featuring those in the layout that I'm doing today, but I wanted to show you there are a few others that are part of that set as well. It's Tiny Celebrate, 4T, Nature 6, and Elements 1. Okay. So the layout that I'm going to be working on today is going to be some photos that I have from a trip that we took to Universal Studios in Hollywood. And they're pictures of the castle in Hogwarts. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, you'll enjoy this layout. If not, hopefully you'll enjoy it just for the aesthetics of it. So this is an idea of what I'm going to be doing with my photos today. And what I'm using right now are photo mats. And I actually use these most of the time when I design a layout to really help me see how my photos are going to end up filling in the space on the page. And it just helps me make some design choices along the way. Okay. So I often will kind of decide what photos I'm going to use, how I may want to crop them, and then I'll pull out the photo mats to match. So this layout is actually featured in the Scrapbooking Sampler Idea Book that comes with the purchase of the Scrapbooking Sampler set. So if you are new to Kiwi Lane, this is a great way to get started. Get a small set of templates, and there are several sketches in the book to give you an idea of how to get started with some layouts. Okay, so this is what my basic layout's going to look like today. And at this point, I'm going to just start replacing and adding in some of the pieces that I already have ready. And then there's some pieces that I want to go through with you to show you how I would create them. Okay, so for starters, I want to use some strips to just fill in this space on the edges. Okay, so I cut a couple of strips to go at both that left side and at the top. Okay, and then I want to show you the borders that I cut. Now these were cut from a piece of paper that looked like this. This is actually part of a Close to My Heart collection called Aurora. And I had done a workshop with this paper over the weekend, and I just had a little bit of it left, and that was why I decided this would be a great collection to feature for this layout. So this piece of paper, when I started, was just this strip here, okay? And what I did was take these 2 templates, so the Abbey Road 1A and 1B, and I just laid them on my paper, okay? So I'm starting just dealing with a regular strip of paper, okay? So I laid this right along the edge, did a quick pencil trace, okay? Laid this one on top just to get my measurement, and did a mark with my pencil here. This ended up being a straight cut on my trimmer. I did a scissor cut along this line here, and that's what created these 2 wavy pieces. Again, if you are a Kiwi Lane veteran, you've got that system down, but if you're new to Kiwi Lane, it kind of helps to hear what exactly we do with the templates and how we use those to create different shapes. Okay. So let me replace these, and that's going to look something like that. Now, these pieces here this Cascade Trails 2A and 2B. The way the layout is designed, one of them is traced upside down and one is traced right side up. I actually am going to change that a little bit. I'm going to trace them both upside down because I want to show you just kind of an efficient way to use your paper here. Okay. So I'm going to lay this here. I'm not going to go all the way to the tippy top because I want to leave scrap here that I can use for something else later. And if I make it too skinny, it's not going to be usable later. Okay. So just do your pencil trace, top and bottom. These are what we call a fun border, and they're for either layering on a border or using independently, but often they don't line up with each other quite the same way. I am going to pretend like they lined up just perfectly because it's not enough of a difference to really matter, you guys. Don't waste your paper, okay? So that is close enough. I'm gonna go ahead and trace. And now when I'm done, I'm going to have a piece left here at the top, and then I've got a larger piece at the bottom, okay? But what I want to show you is with a quick trim, how easily you can create an accent to either use on this page or on a different one, okay? So I always recommend cutting towards the back of your scissors, at least when you're starting a cut. And that way you can easily manipulate your paper with one hand and your scissors with the other. That way you can cut along those lines without too much effort. Okay. So I'm just creating these two pieces. One more cut. And if you are not exactly on the lines, don't let that worry you too much. You can always add a little ink along the edge. That's going to hide any pencil marks, any little imperfections in your cutting. Okay. All right. So two things I want to show you. We'll deal with these two pieces in just a second, but this created kind of a fun scrap. And like I said, you could use this either on this layout or on a future layout. So maybe I wanted to add a little accent down here at the bottom of the photos. That would be really easy to do with that piece. Okay, so just a little tip. Let me ink these ones real quick. And we'll get on to our next point. Because this border, this fun border, is going to be layered on top of the two other pieces that are already at the top and on the left-hand side, I am going to ink all the way around it, okay? When I'm doing something that is going to be hidden, when I'm inking along a regular border piece and part of it's going to be underneath something else, I don't even bother to ink it because I know it's not gonna show up, okay? But this one is going to be visible. So we'll ink there. I like how that looks on there. It kind of pulls that color in, which I like. Kind of ties together the greens and the blue. And I really loved the feel of this Aurora Borealis paper. You'll see when I pull out the photos, it was kind of a cloudy day when we were at Universal Studios. And the castle itself is just magical anyway. And that's always what I think about when I see pictures of the Aurora Borealis. I always think of just magic and mystery and mystique. So it just felt right to me. Okay, so again, the way that this is laid out in the sketchbook actually has this piece going this way, okay? But that would have required me to end up using quite a lot more paper than I wanted to. So literally by just flipping that template over, I was able to trace it the way that you saw, and it really makes no difference in the grand scheme of things on the design. Okay. So let me pull out this first photo here. It's just a kind of an overall picture of the castle. I already matted it. This is a card from the PML cards that are part of what you can purchase from Close to My Heart. I often have these left over after I use a kit. I never use all of them. So I've started realizing that if I use them to back my photos sometimes, that I end up using more of them and using less just regular paper. So especially if it's a set that I enjoyed but didn't need the whole thing, then that's a good way to use them up. This was a little 3x4 photo. And then I made this one a little bit bigger. I sketched this out with a 3x4, but I just could not give up some of this castle. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it, I made it just a little bigger, and I think that's gonna work out. Okay. These 3 4x6s here are all vertical photos. And I love when I can line photos up like this because I honestly don't even need to back them. Okay. In this case, I think they show up well on that blue. Okay, so I can go ahead and do these, something like that. This is a paper strip from one of the pieces of paper that I was using. I think I'm just gonna finish off the bottom of these photos. I'm not sure how well it's showing up in the video, but there's a lot of this really beautiful, like turquoisey green on the wings here. And so it just really makes this color palette all tie together. All right, now we've got this bracket up here that we want to deal with. And I want to either create an accent with that or a place to be able to do a little bit of journaling, okay? So in this case, I am doing a little bit of both. I have this card that says "For the Record." I thought that would be great for journaling on, but it's obviously a little bit big for this space. So what I'm gonna do is scoot this bracket up so that I'm still catching this part that says "For the Record," and then I'll have, you know, about 3 lines or so to journal on, and that should be plenty. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace here. I think it's important to remember when you're using the templates that they're there to help you design and to give you some ideas, but be flexible with yourself. And if it's a little larger than you want, don't be afraid to change that shape or cut it a little bit differently so that it ends up being exactly what you need for your page, whether that's exactly what that template was looking like when you started or not. Alrighty. And around we go. So this edge is going to end up being tucked under. So I'm not going to ink that. Whoop. Okay, so I got a little smudge on there. I don't even worry about things like that. By the time this page is finished and I've journaled on there and everything else is done, that kind of a smudge is not something that I would be really concerned about. I know I want this to actually layer on my photos a little, but I don't want to cover up the whole spire on there. And that looks like it's going to be perfect. Okay, go ahead and put this back up. So the last detail of something that I wanted to cut would be a way to anchor these photos. And this little Celebrate 8T works out well for that. I also will tend to use like a little card border, different things like that to go along the bottom of photos when I'm just kind of having them float like this so that they feel a little bit more anchored to the page. I've got another one of those PML cards left, and it happened to have some of the patterns and colors that are already being represented in this layout. So I thought I could do either this, or originally I was going to pull in this turquoise, which I absolutely love this paper, but it ended up feeling a little bit dark, like it was just going to get lost on this background. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this kind of patterny one and just make that a little pop. So again, a way to use up these PML cards, if you have them left after you're done playing with a kit. I really for this layout used 2 background sheets, 4 PML cards, and then probably 3 small strips of paper. Okay, so it doesn't take a lot to end up creating something nice. So don't throw away those scraps, you guys. Check them out, see what you can do with them. Alrighty. So there's a little celebrate. Again, I'm going to give it a little bit of ink. If you are not somebody that likes to ink, it's certainly not required. For me, it just allows me to use lots of different kinds of pattern paper and things. And something about that little bit of ink on the edge makes everything play together very nicely. The last touch that I had for this page is this castle that was part of a Harry Potter paper pack that I bought. And I'm going to be using some of that for some of the other pages that I'm going to be doing. But I wanted to find a spot where I could put this castle. So I was thinking, you know, it could maybe go there, you know, right along the edge of this. It could also go up here. I'm not positive where it's going to end up. I would definitely want it to show up, and I feel like it gets a little bit lost over there. It may be that this ends up being the spot for it. And that'll go, give me that opportunity to complete my little story here and get this all put together. So hopefully you guys got a couple of tips today and enjoyed watching me put this layout together. I will post a picture of it, but I just wanted to share this with you. If you would like to see more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe so that I know that this is something that you enjoy, and I would be happy to take any requests as well. So drop me a comment and give me an idea for future videos. I am here for you. So I just love to share different creative things, and I'm hoping that it's something that you enjoy seeing as well. I hope you guys are having a super day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.